Good evening, friends. How are you? Hope you all are doing good. So, friends, yesterday we have seen a question regarding various movements of the Earth. So, I have checked your answers, and most of you have written pretty good answers. There needs to be more improvement. We will discuss slowly as days go. As these days go, we will see how to write better and better answer. Okay. So, yesterday's question was various movements of the Earth. So movements, what are the movements of the earth that we have seen? Okay, so first movement that we were seeing, that was a form because of the endogenetic processes. Second movement was because of the exogenetic processes. So two movements are there because of the endogenetic processes. First movement is sudden movement, like earthquake is there, volcano is there. Okay. Second is diastrophic movement, like formation of the mountain, formation of the continent, breaking of the mountain, breaking of the continent. These are the diastrophic processes. Okay. And next that we have seen was the exogenetic processes. So endogenetic processes were because of the internal forces. These internal forces are because of the heat inside the earth and movement of the molten magma. Okay, so this magma is continuously moving inside this below the lithosphere. Because of that, this lithosphere moves. Okay, so this magma is a reason, and the heat is the reason for these endogenetic processes. So yesterday we have seen the definition of lithosphere also. So lithosphere is nothing but the uppermost part of the mantle and some part of the crust and entire part of the crust. So some part of the mantle and entire part of the crust, we are calling it as a lithosphere. Lithosphere is divided into so many parts. We are calling them as a plates. So these plates, they are not stable, they are moving. So in plate tectonics, we are going to see this in detail, how these plates move. Okay. Then after writing about this, you should start writing about the exogenetic forces and external movements of the various forms of the earth. So because of the external movement, various features are formed. So what are the agents responsible for the exogenetic processes? So four agents we have seen: wind, water, then you have sea waves, and you have glaciers. So these are uh, responsible for the exogenetic processes. So winds will take this. It will erode the parts of the mountain. It will take sand along with itself. Okay. Water will also erode the mountains. It will take sediments along with itself. Glacial will also erode the mountains, and it will take sediment along with itself. Okay. So these are the different agents. Similarly, wave action will also create various landforms, like you have caves, you have stacks, okay, you have arches, you have cliffs. So different platforms or different landforms will be created by the sea waves. So these things are expected to be written in the answer. So slowly we'll see how you can improve your answer by incorporating more diagrams, by incorporating more flowcharts, by connecting it with the current affairs. Okay. So these are the various ways that you can improve your answer. Okay. So further, if you have any doubt, you can message me regarding that and we'll see further. Okay. So today we are going to see the fourth chapter of your 7th standard NCRT. It is about air. So when we say air, definitely we cannot see it, okay, until and unless you are you are at very polluted place like Delhi, you cannot see the air, okay. So air is a very transparent thing, okay. So it moves. So sometimes it's stable. So let us understand the things about air, okay. We have seen the composition of the air. When we say the composition of the air, the maximum of the air is nothing but a nitrogen, okay, 78%, and then 21% is oxygen. So these two gases are mostly they are making the almost 99% of the composition of the air. Then 1% you have other gases. Out of them, argon is the highest, so 0.93%. Then you have a carbon dioxide 0.03%. Okay, and then you have other gases like you have hydrogen, you have helium, and so many gases are there. Okay, so the major gases that are present overall air are nitrogen and oxygen, and rare gases are you have carbon dioxide, argon, hydrogen, helium. Out of them, hydrogen and helium are the most primitive gases. Remember this. When Earth was recently formed, these were the most primitive gases. Even the stars, they are made up of hydrogen and helium. Okay, sun is mostly made up of hydrogen and helium. Okay, so these are the important gases which are there, and carbon dioxide is and oxygen are very important for the life processes on the surface of the earth. Okay, carbon dioxide, as you know that plants are breathing the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is very important for the plants to prepare their food. So for the process of green process of photosynthesis, this carbon dioxide is very important. Then after carbon dioxide, we have oxygen, which is very important for the process of respiration. Okay, so even plants also they need carbon oxygen for the process of respiration, and all the animals, even all the living animals, they need oxygen for the purpose of respiration. So it is said that the amount of oxygen which we produce during our inhalation, so plants, birds, okay, sorry, animals, birds, human beings, we exhale we exhale carbon dioxide and inhale oxygen. So it is said that the amount of carbon dioxide that we exhale, okay, is almost equal to the amount of carbon dioxide is taken by the plants. Okay, so that is why if you want to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it is very important to plant more and more trees so they can inhale the carbon dioxide. Okay, and carbon dioxide, as you know, it is a greenhouse gas. So greenhouse gas, what do you mean by greenhouse gas? So greenhouse is a concept in the agriculture. Okay, so greenhouse is nothing but a kind of house which is created to capture the heat. Okay, so what does it do? So it is transparent to the sunlight. Okay, okay, it is a transparent to the, let us say, short wave radiations or sunlight, but it is this heat or waves which are being trapped in that greenhouse, they cannot escape further out. Okay, so because of that, it creates very hot inside that particular house. Now, why this hot atmosphere is being created in that particular house? Because carbon dioxide is there in the greenhouse that traps those that traps those radiations, that traps the heat of the sun. Because of that, this greenhouse gas effect is also very prominent today for the global warming. So the overall greenhouse gas effect is nothing but it is a particular house which is made up of particular type of plastic or sometimes glass, which is transparent to sunlight. And once the earth is heated, it emits the long wave radiation which is being captured by the greenhouse gases like the carbon dioxide. So it is a very important greenhouse gas. So this carbon dioxide is a very important greenhouse gas, and greenhouse effect is a effect which is responsible for the warming of the air inside the greenhouse. And same thing is happening on the surface of the earth. So what is happening on the surface of the earth? We are emitting more and more CO2. Since we are emitting, okay, so we are emitting more and more CO2. So let us say this is earth, and we are creating thick blanket of carbon dioxide around the earth. So what is happening? Sunlight is coming through this air, atmosphere. Okay, it is hitting the earth. Okay, but the long wave radiation which are emitted by the earth, okay, it is being captured by these greenhouse gases. It is not letting this long wave radiation to pass into the space. Because of that, more and more amount of long wave radiations are being absorbed, and heat or temperature of the atmosphere is increasing. To that, we are calling it as a global warming. So this global warming is currently a very worrisome phenomena which is going on. We are going to see this in environment in detailed manner. So carbon dioxide is responsible for the greenhouse gas effect, and it is also responsible for the global warming. Okay. Now let us understand this overall movement of the air. Okay. So guys, air, whenever something is being heated, okay, for example, this is known as convection, the process of convection. You might have learned this in physics. So there are three ways to which heat is being transferred. Okay, so first is conduction. Okay, so conduction happens through metals. Okay, conduction happening through solid objects where atom to atom transfer of heat happens. Second is convection. Convection happens through liquid and gaseous things. So here, layers of the liquid, when they are heated, or layers of the gas, when they are heated, they will rise. And on the top, where it is a very cold liquid or air, that will sink down. So again, that will be heated because of the heat at the base. Like for example, heating of the water or milk. So when this milk will rise, this water will also, once heated, it will rise. This is known as convection. So this thing will go on that this at the bottom, because of the heat, milk is rising. It is coming on the top, and on the top, when the cold milk, which is little heavy, it will go down. Again, it will be heated. It will rise. So this process continuously goes on. This is known as convection. Okay, and third is radiation. So radiation is happening, like currently we are getting heat from the sun because of the radiation. So this is also one of the process for transfer of heat. Okay. So air is also transferring heat through the process of convection. So convection is very important in case of air for the transfer of heat. Okay. So what happens wherever there is a huge amount of sunlight is there, sunlight is falling in this region, so it will heat this region very high. This heating of the land will further heat the air up, and as air becomes hot, it will rise. Once it is rising, as it is going upward, it will cool down. Once it is getting cooled down, it will become heavy and it will sink. So when it is sinking, it will sink nearby area. And now this area is a air deficit area. Okay. So this air, here you will have air surplus area. This area is air surplus area. So this, from air surplus area on the ground, air will travel to air deficit area. Getting it? Okay. So in this way, the overall movement of the air will happen. So this high, we can say higher concentration area from here will have air moving from here to here. Getting it? Okay. So in this way, this movement of the air happens, and this is known as a general circulation. Okay, or air circulation in general. Okay. So guys, this is the way how air is moving in the atmosphere. Now let us understand the structure of the atmosphere. So when we are talking about air and various phenomena of the atmosphere, it is happening only up to limited to particular height. It is not happening all over the, let us say up to like 100, 500, 600 kilometers. Okay. So based upon the various activities happening and based upon the temperature, based upon the various phenomena happening, we are classifying atmosphere into various levels. Okay. So generally we have classified atmosphere into 5 layers. So which are these layers? From the ground we can say it is a troposphere. Above that you have a stratosphere. Then you have a mesosphere. Then you have a thermosphere. And then after that you have an exosphere. So these are the 5 important layers of the atmosphere. So all the atmosphere related phenomena, they are happening in the troposphere. Troposphere, if you see how much it is only up to 13 kilometers, 1 3. But all the rainfall, cloud formation, tornadoes, cyclone, they are all happening only in the troposphere, only up till 13 kilometers and not above. Okay, so once you reach above 13 kilometers, if, for example, if heavy rain is happening or cyclone has come into your area, but you got a rocket and you just flown away from that your region and reached up to 15 kilometers, then there is no any weather phenomena, there is no cyclone, there is no rainfall, nothing. Getting it? So all the phenomena related to atmosphere, they are happening only up to 13 kilometers. Okay. Now above 13 kilometers, there is a next layer called as the stratosphere. So it extends up to the height of 50 kilometers. Since this layer of a stratosphere, it does not have any atmospheric phenomena happening. Okay, this plays an important role for economic point of view. Why economic point of view? Because our aeroplanes, okay, you know guys, if you have traveled through the aeroplane, many a times you get very jerks in between the aeroplane. So generally, wherever there is a cloud or where there is a rainfall, okay, and lightning, this your plane will start getting jerks. So to avoid that jerk, commercial aeroplanes and jet planes, they will always fly through the stratosphere because there is no atmospheric phenomena. So though below there is a rainfall or cyclone is going on, so aeroplane will fly from the stratosphere where there is no atmospheric phenomena. So it will travel up till 50 kilometers. So stratosphere, second layer is very, very important from that point of view. Okay. So once you cross the stratosphere, next layer is known as a mesosphere. Meso means middle. So now you know that there are five layers. So in between third layer is a middle layer, which we call it as a mesosphere. It will extend up to the height of 80 kilometers. Up till 80 kilometers it will be there. There are no phenomena over here and nothing. But most of the time, meteorites or external object which try to enter into the Earth's atmosphere, they get burned out into the mesosphere. Okay. After that, you have a next layer which is known as thermosphere, which extends up to 80 to 400 kilometer, and it is very very important. Okay, for the purpose of radio transmission. Now thermosphere. Okay, thermosphere has air in a, or let us say atoms of the gases. It does not have gases. It has atoms of the gases and free electrons. So that is why it has a soup of gases and free electrons. And whenever, for example, we have mobile, okay, we have FM, we listen. So you have to use the mobile frequency, 3G, 4G frequency. Okay, you have to use the FM frequency like 92.5. So once this frequency are emitted from the radio station, they go into the space and they reflect back because of the thermosphere. If thermosphere would not have been there, there would be very difficult to have a mobile phone connection and listening to the radio, watching the TV. Okay, it would have been very very difficult getting it. So it is very very important for the purpose of radio transmission. Okay. So after that you have a exosphere, or it is a very thin layer. Means air actually does not exist over here. Getting it. Okay. So these are the important layer. Troposphere, where all atmospheric phenomena are happening. Stratosphere, here aeroplanes are flying. Also, stratosphere is very important for the purpose of protection of the atmosphere, because here presence of ozone layer. So in the stratosphere, ozone layer is present. Ozone layer attracts the UV light or shortwave solar radiation. When they capture or absorb this shortwave solar radiations, the life on the planet is survived. So wherever there is ozone hole, the animals and human beings, they are suffering from the cancer or life-threatening diseases. Getting it? So that is why stratosphere is very very important. It is saving us from the harmful solar radiation because the presence of ozone layer. Then you have a mesosphere, middle layer. Thermosphere is very important for the radio transmission, and then you have an exosphere. It's very thin air. So friends, we are going to see this thing again and again. Okay, as we will go to the 11th standard, 12th standard chapter, these layers of the atmosphere will again see in the much detailed manner. Now, let us understand weather and climate. Weather and climate, we have already seen the difference that day to day temperature, humidity is nothing but a weather, and long term average weather phenomena we call it as a climate. So, this is a difference between weather and climate. So, these things are associated with the temperature. Okay. So, but temperature is nothing but an indicator of hotness or coldness of any object. It talks about the heat content of particular object. Getting it? So heat content of a particular object is spoken by the temperature. So that particular object, how hot it is and how cold it will be told by the temperature. Okay. So temperature, when we say temperature are calculated by using various units like degree Celsius, Fahrenheit, Kelvin. Okay. So there are different 3 to 4 scales on which we calculate the temperature. General usage is done by using the Celsius or the Fahrenheit. Okay. So water, if you see at 0 degree Celsius, water gets converted into the solid or ice, and at 100 degrees Celsius water will boil. Same if you see the temperature on the scale of Fahrenheit. Okay, so 0 degrees, okay, 0 degrees Celsius means 32 degrees Fahrenheit on the scale. So guys, this temperature or hotness or coldness, or we can say it talks about heat content of the body. Okay, it on the surface of the earth, it depends upon the insolation. What is an insolation? Insolation is a short form for incoming solar radiation. So this in is for incoming, and solar is for SO, and this lation is for radiation. So incoming solar radiation is nothing but insolation. Okay. So this incoming solar radiation will decide the temperature on the surface of the earth. Getting it? So what will be the temperature of a particular region? So more amount of sunlight, more is the temperature. Less amount of sunlight, less is the temperature. So on the equator, or we have seen on the torrid region, we have more temperature. So why it is because that region receives more amount of sunlight. Insolation is more on the torrid zone or on the tropical region. That's why that has a very high temperature. As we go on to the poles, insolation is very less. So when insolation is very less, their temperature is very low, or cold temperature is there on the poles. So here, as we go from equator towards pole, temperature will or insolation will decrease, or let us say temperature will decrease. So as you go from equators towards pole, temperature will decrease. Okay. So temperature and insolation are directly proportional to each other. Insolation increases, temperature also increases. Insolation decreases, temperature also decreases. So this is very important phenomena. Okay. So now when we say insolation and temperature of the air, we have seen that air rises when the temperature increases. So somewhere, for example, here, okay, as temperature increases, okay, air will start rising. So this thing of rising of the air, okay, as it moves upward, it will become cool and then it will sink down over here. Getting it? It will sink down over here. So air pressure, once it is sinking down, it will exert a weight over a person standing in this region. Okay. So in this region, if a person is standing, it will exert a pressure on him. So the amount of weight is exerted on the particular surface. Through that we call it as a pressure. So pressure is nothing but a weight of an air exerted on the surface of the earth. Getting it? So amount of weight that it will have, it will create a kind of pressure on the surface. So when we talk about atmospheric pressure, we talk about this air pressure. That is pressure exerted by the weight of an air on the surface. Getting it? So as you guys know that on the sea level, air pressure is going to be very high. Because if we say this is a column of air, this is on the sea, and let us say this is on the mountain over here. So definitely here on the level of mountain, you will have a, let us say, very less air pressure. Weight will be very less, but total weight of exerted by this column will be very high. Air will be very dense in this region. So on the sea surface, you will have very high air pressure. Getting it? So air pressure is always very high on the sea level compared to on the mountains. That is why on the mountains you have to use the pressure cookers, because pressure is very low. So your rice will not cook on the top of the mountain very quickly. So if you want to cook your rice very quickly, then you need a pressure cooker. But if you go to the Kanyakumari or let us say Simandra region, there you don't need much pressure cooker. Just on the normal pot, your rice will boil. Getting it? Okay. So air, once you know that here you have an excess amount of air in this region, where this region you have a high pressure. Okay. This region you have a low pressure. So since air is being heated over here and air is rising, there is a less weight in this region. There is a less weight of air on the surface. So pressure exerted will be less in this region. Here weight is very high. Weight of the air is very high. So pressure exerted will be very high. So this is known as high pressure zone. This is known as low pressure zone. And air will always move from high pressure to low pressure zone. Getting it? So air always move from high pressure to low pressure zone horizontally. So this horizontal movement of the air from high pressure to low pressure, we will call it as a wind. Getting it? So wind is nothing but a movement of the air from high pressure to low pressure. Now guys, you might be surprised that these winds are blowing, air pressure is there, but our satellite moon, it does not have any atmosphere. It does not have air on the moon. That's why there is no pressure on the moon. Okay. So on the surface of the earth, air is exerting pressure on, let us say, on my body. So to counter this pressure, our blood inside the vessels, it is also exerting the counter pressure on the outside atmosphere. So that is why it's very stable. Getting it? That's why stably we can live. Air is exerting pressure on my body, and my blood vessels, blood running through the body is also exerting pressure on the air. They are countering each other. Okay. But on the moon, there is no air. So it is there. If you go on the moon, it will not exert pressure on your body. But your body's pressure will, your mechanism will remain same. So blood vessels and blood, it will exert pressure on the surrounding atmosphere. So blood vessels, they will burst. You will start bleeding. That's why on the moon, a special suit is required to be worn by the astronauts. So if astronauts do not wear this suit, they will bleed on the moon because there is no air. There is no air pressure. So they will start bleeding. Getting it? Okay. So this is very important phenomena. This question can be asked in the exam. Now we have seen that the horizontal movement of the air is nothing but a wind. So when wind blows from the high pressure to the low pressure area, we are calling it as a wind. Air is moving from high pressure to low pressure area, we are calling it as a wind. So winds are different winds are named on the surface of the earth. Like you have a easterlies, you have westerlies, okay? Then you have a trade winds, you have tropical easterlies, you have a polar easterlies. So different names have been given to winds. So these names have been given based on from which direction wind is blowing. So from which direction it is blowing, not the to which direction it is blowing. So from which direction it is blowing. So when air is moving from, let us say, wind is moving from west to east, this wind we will call it as a westerlies. So when wind is moving from west to east, we are calling it as a westerlies. If it is moving from east to west, we will call it as a easterlies. Getting it? So westerlies and easterlies. So broadly, we can classify winds into three types: permanent winds, seasonal winds, and local winds. In detail, we are going to see these winds in the next chapter, not in the 7th standard NCRT. Okay. So these are the very important concept. They can be asked in our exam. So when we say atmosphere, there is always water vapor in the atmosphere. So water vapor or amount of water vapor in the atmosphere is known as a moisture. Okay. Amount of water vapor which is present in the air, which is known as moisture. So there are different concepts regarding to this moisture, and we calculate the moisture using the concept called as a humidity. Okay. So this humidity can be calculated as absolute humidity, as a relative humidity. So there are different types of humidities that also we will see. Okay. And when this moisture in the air or humidity rises and air loses the capacity to hold the humidity, then precipitation happens. So when air loses the moisture, okay, in the form of rainfall, in the form of snowfall, in the form of hailstorm, sleet, we call it as a precipitation. So when moisture carrying capacity of the air decreases, precipitation happens in 4 to 5 types like rain, snow, sleet, and hail. So these are the different types of precipitation that also we are going to see in detail. So this precipitation are very important. It's very important chapter. Last year question have been asked on precipitation, and uh, it is very important in terms of other concepts like freezing point, boiling point, and so many other concepts that we'll definitely see. So I hope guys you have understood this chapter. Okay, based on this we will have some MCQs. So let us solve some MCQs. Okay, so first MCQs: which of the following gases protect us from the harmful sun rays? So ozone is protecting us from the harmful solar rays. The most important layer of the atmosphere is troposphere, because all the atmospheric phenomena are happening in this region. So it's very important for human survival of the entire living organisms, all the living organisms. Okay. Which of the following layer of the atmosphere is free from clouds? Now mesosphere is also free from clouds and stratosphere is also free from clouds. But this NCRC specifically talks about stratosphere. So aeroplanes are flying from the stratosphere. Okay. As we go up layer of the atmosphere, the pressure decreases. As we move upward, pressure decreases. When precipitation comes down to the earth, it is known as uh, in the okay, I think it is hidden. Okay, so you see this 4. Okay, so when precipitation comes down on the earth in the form of, I think, solid form, it will be, I don't know, it will be known as snow. Okay, then you have match the following trade winds. Okay, so different types of winds that we have seen. So trade wind is a type of permanent wind. Okay, Lu is nothing but a local wind. Monsoon is nothing but a seasonal wind. And the definition of wind is a horizontal movement of the air. So don't worry, guys. This chapter we are going to see in much detail. What are the trade winds? What is a Lu? What is a monsoon? So no need to be worried about this. No need to be afraid of this. Okay. So overall, let us sum this chapter. So it is about air, it is about the structure of the atmosphere, and it's about introduction of different types of winds like trade winds, seasonal winds, local winds. These things we are going to see in detailed manner. Okay. So I hope you guys have understood this. If you have any doubt regarding this, you can please message me on the social media. So see you tomorrow for the next chapter. Thank you.